Robert Saleh didn't just respect Shedeur Sanders, he sent the NFL a warning. The San Francisco 49ers, one of the most dominant, disciplined, and dangerous defenses in the league, are preparing to face a rookie quarterback making just his second career start. But instead of brushing it off, Saleh got behind a mic and delivered one of the most revealing, blunt, and flat-out alarming statements you'll ever hear from a coach of his caliber. And make no mistake, this wasn't some empty compliment to be polite. This was a sign of genuine concern, the kind that makes headlines inside NFL front offices. You could hear it in his tone, see it in his expression, and when you break down what he actually said line by line, it becomes clear. Saleh sees something in Shedeur Sanders that most rookies just don't have, and he knows his defense is walking straight into a problem they might not be ready to solve. If you're a Browns fan, what you're about to hear should get you out of your seat. And if you're the 49ers, well, it might raise a few eyebrows because Robert Saleh just described Shedeur Sanders as the kind of quarterback that keeps defensive coordinators up at night. Now let's break down exactly what he said and why it matters. When someone like Robert Saleh speaks, the league listens. And if you understand who he is and where he's been, you'll quickly realize that this isn't just some coach giving praise to a rookie for sound bites. This is a man who's spent 2 decades sharpening his mind against the NFL's brightest, and he's not the type to hand out compliments unless they're absolutely earned. Let's be crystal clear, Robert Saleh is more than just the head coach of the New York Jets and formerly the defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. He is one of the sharpest defensive minds in professional football. His reputation was built by calling complex defensive schemes, dominating game plans, and getting elite results from both rookies and veterans. He's a chess player in a league full of checkers. Saleh is a coach who has studied and game planned for quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, and more. He's built defenses that have shut down marquee offenses, confused seasoned veterans, and punished undisciplined teams. So, when this guy, a guy whose job is literally to expose a quarterback's every weakness, gets in front of a microphone and starts raving about a player like Shedeur Sanders, it's not small talk. It's a precise alarm being sounded. That's what makes his recent comments so important. Let's step back. It's week 2. Shedeur Sanders, a rookie quarterback, hasn't even played in 5 games. He's still wet behind the ears, adapting from the speed of college to the speed of the NFL. But instead of brushing him off like most coaches do when facing a rookie, what did Saleh do? He leaned into the mic, looked genuinely thoughtful, and said some things that most head coaches simply don't admit publicly, especially before game day. You could see it in his demeanor. He wasn't just answering media questions. He was letting the league know that Shedeur Sanders isn't a fluke, he's a problem. Now, imagine being a rookie quarterback and hearing these words from an opponent who's faced MVPs and Super Bowl champions. He's a good young quarterback. He's mobile. Got a big arm. Tremendous confidence. One phrase in particular stands out. Tremendous confidence. That's not just a loose compliment, that's targeted praise. And in Saleh's world, confidence isn't decoration, it's ammunition. You see, you can coach against inaccuracy. You can design blitzes for pocket passers. You can rattle inexperienced kids who shrink in the moment. But you can't game plan away confidence. Confidence is the quality coach's fear, especially when it's paired with real talent. Saleh knows that better than most. He's built entire weeks of practice around shaking a quarterback's composure. And when he sees a rookie who isn't fazed by pressure, who stands his ground, and who keeps firing no matter the situation, that sends a stronger message than anything on tape, it tells him, your schemes alone won't be enough. And remember, Saleh has nothing to gain by saying this. If anything, most veteran coaches in his position would downplay Sanders. Maybe say something vanilla like, he's a young guy, he's learning, we've got to be disciplined. That's coach speak. That's the safe way to play it, especially when your own elite defense needs to stay hungry going into the week. Coaches don't hype up the opposition unless there's a real reason, and Saleh's reason was clear: Shedeur has it. But what makes Saleh's respect even more meaningful is the context of the defenses he's led. Let's take it back to his time with the 49ers. In 2019, his defense was a nightmare for quarterbacks. They reached the Super Bowl behind a unit that finished near the top in almost every defensive category: sacks, turnovers, yards allowed. Opposing QBs were regularly rattled, rushed, and totally out of rhythm. And now, years later, equipped with similar tools and experience, Saleh's blueprint hasn't changed. He knows how to break a quarterback mentally and physically. When he prepares for a game, every strength and every weakness of the opposing QB is dissected by his staff. Tapes get studied at 1 a.m. Trends get charted play by play. Saleh doesn't just plan a few blitzes, he creates puzzles. And if you can't solve them by the third quarter, he's already moved on to the next phase of attack. So, again, why do his words matter? Because Saleh doesn't throw compliments randomly. For someone this tactical, every word he says before a game is either deception or strategic honesty. In this case, it was the latter. The tone wasn't one of manipulation or mind games, it was real. And that should send a chill through opposing teams. If a defense built and led at the highest level is already voicing concern over a rookie just a few weeks into the season, what does that tell you about what Shedeur is putting on film? It means he's not just doing well, he's breaking the mold. And maybe most importantly, Saleh isn't a coach who only looks at the physical tools. He evaluates the intangible details before anything else. Decision-making, pocket presence, confidence under pressure, timing, leadership, adjustments at the line. That's what makes or breaks a quarterback in the NFL. And guess what? Saleh just publicly ticked every one of those boxes for a guy who literally hasn't started a handful of games. It's rare, almost unheard of, for a rookie quarterback to get this level of acknowledgement so early, especially from a defensive coach whose job is to exploit weaknesses and crush confidence. So when a mind like Robert Saleh's says, Shedeur Sanders has something real, you better believe the rest of the league is tuning in, because that's not a PR move, it's a notice. On the surface, Robert Saleh didn't say anything outrageous when talking about Shedeur Sanders. There were no wild predictions, no bold guarantees. In fact, if you were only half listening, you might have written it off as your standard coach speak. Good young quarterback. He's mobile, got a big arm, tremendous confidence. Sounds typical, right? We've all heard that a million times. Opposing coaches always pretend to be respectful, toss a few bland compliments, and then get back to business. But this time, it was different. The words might have been familiar, but the tone wasn't. There was no acting, no fluff, no fake, he's really improving deflection. You could feel the hesitation in Saleh's voice, the choice of every word being measured carefully, deliberately. And for those who know how coaches like him operate, it wasn't just what he said that mattered. It was what he wasn't saying and how carefully he avoided saying it. Let's break it down. When Saleh described Shedeur's tremendous confidence, that wasn't just praise, it was a confession. Because NFL defensive coordinators don't fear quarterbacks who can run. They don't even fear those with a strong arm. What they do fear, deep down, is a quarterback who can't be rattled. That word confidence is a loaded term in defensive meetings. It doesn't mean cockiness. It doesn't mean energy. It means this. You can blitz him, disguise coverages, send pressure from every angle, and he'll still stand tall and make throws. And that makes scheme almost irrelevant. Think about the quarterbacks Saleh has game planned for. Mahomes, who throws no-look passes with secondaries collapsing. Josh Allen, who shrugs off 300-pound linemen like gym weights. Lamar Jackson, who turns broken pockets into highlight reels. Every one of those QBs shares one thing: unshakable confidence. And Saleh knows exactly what that confidence feels like when it's on the opposite sideline. Now he's seeing shades of that same fearlessness in a rookie. That's rare, that's unnerving, and that's why when Saleh said tremendous confidence, it felt more like a warning to his own team than a compliment to Shedeur. But he didn't stop there. He brought up Shedeur's performance against the Raiders and emphasized it very intentionally, calling out not just numbers or drives, but specific types of throws. He made a couple of really good throws in the game against Vegas, extending plays, getting out of the pocket, delivering the ball where it needed to be delivered. That level of specificity from a coach like Saleh is everything. Most NFL head coaches, especially before a game, speak in generalities. They praise the team, the coach, maybe mention a red zone stat or two, but when a defensive strategist like Saleh starts breaking down your quarterback's ability on the move, off script, and under pressure, trust me, he's not just being polite, he's identifying the thing that keeps him up at night. That's the subtle fear here. Saleh didn't praise Shedeur's pocket presence or mechanics or decision-making like someone reading a scouting report. He dialed in on the toughest type of quarterback to stop, the one who manufactures magic outside of structure. That's what off-schedule means, the ability to turn broken plays into back-breaking ones. It's that Mahomes play where nothing works but somehow becomes 6 points. It's that Rodgers lob after dodging 2 sacks. That's what separates the average from the elite, and Saleh is already lumping Shedeur into that category. And he did it again when asked whether Sanders has room to grow. His response? A guy like that, he's just going to get better and better every week. Let's pause there. That comment, that assumption of weekly growth, is not something a seasoned coach casually says about an inexperienced quarterback, unless he sees something different on tape. Remember, Shedeur is making just his second career start. Saleh doesn't even know what his full playbook looks like yet, but he's already talking about the trajectory of Sanders' development. That's a massive shift in tone. Saleh isn't viewing Shedeur as someone to simply survive. He's viewing him as a future threat that gets more dangerous every week. And perhaps the most telling part, Saleh wasn't warning his players. He was warning the rest of the league. There's a deeper layer here, a strategic side note for those tuned in. Saleh's words weren't just analysis. They were a subtle smoke signal to other coaches, GMs, and scouts who might have underestimated Sanders in the draft, or even in week 1. He's saying, you better start preparing for this kid now, because in a few weeks, it may be too late. And when a defensive coach with Saleh's reputation starts talking growth, gifts, command, and instinct in the same breath, NFL teams pay attention. Because nobody knows how to dissect quarterbacks quite like defensive minds. In film rooms, they pause every detail. They clip every foot movement, every angle of escape, every late throw across the body. If a young QB is a fluke, they find it. If a kid is shaky under pressure, they exploit it by the second drive. They salivate over weak footwork and slow reads. Saleh has seen none of that in Sanders. That's why his voice trembled with not caution, but respect. Quiet, subtle, unfiltered respect. And that tone, that nuance, is exactly what makes Shedeur Sanders the most quietly feared rookie in the NFL right now. In the NFL, the most dangerous plays aren't the ones coaches design, they're the ones that were never supposed to happen. That's what they mean when they say off schedule, and that's the phrase Robert Saleh zeroed in on when describing Shedeur Sanders. And if you're trying to understand why a defensive genius like Saleh looks genuinely uneasy about facing a rookie quarterback, it comes down to one simple truth. You can't build a game plan for chaos. Saleh didn't mince words. He flat out said, his off-schedule stuff is going to be a problem. You can already tell that. Let's break that down, because hidden in that sentence is everything you need to know about why Shedeur is forcing defensive coordinators into emergency meetings. Off-schedule isn't just a compliment, it's a red flag to every DC in the league. It means this quarterback isn't just running the scripted offense, isn't just operating safely within the playbook. It means he's creating, adapting, reacting in real time, often after the first, second, or even third option is completely shut down. And when the structure collapses, he thrives in the rubble. These are the plays that backbreak elite defenses. When the coverage is perfect, when the pressure gets home, when everything should result in a sack or a throwaway, and the quarterback rolls out, eyes downfield, and throws a laser for a first down, that's off script. That's what Shedeur does. And that's what keeps Robert Saleh up at night. See, most rookies are systems guys. Coaches train them to follow the textbook. Read 1, 2, 3, get rid of the ball. If it's not there, live to fight another play. Rare exceptions, guys like Mahomes, Allen, or rookie year Watson come in and break that mold almost immediately. You know what all their film has in common? Controlled chaos. And Shedeur Sanders is showing flashes of that exact thing. Let's go back to what Saleh saw against the Raiders. The numbers were solid, not jaw-dropping, but what stood out wasn't the stats. It was the moments, the second reaction throws, the accuracy on the run, his ability to escape edge pressure, reset his feet, and fire a strike, not just a hope, but a purposeful throw to the right spot. Saleh called it out directly. He made a couple of really good throws, extending plays, getting out of the pocket, delivering the ball where it needed to be delivered. That repetition wasn't accidental. Listen to the format of that praise. Saleh could have said, he had a solid game, or he looks comfortable. But instead, he got granular, talking specifically about throw placement, throw timing, and situational movement. That type of analysis doesn't come from a surface-level glance. That comes from someone who studied the tape, frame by frame, and came away impressed. What he saw wasn't luck. It was calculation under fire. And for a rookie, that's terrifying. You want to know how coordinators usually attack rookie quarterbacks? Easy, they pressure them early and often. They heat up the pocket, force the QB into panic throws, crash the protection, and dare them to stay composed. It works more often than not. Most rookies start seeing shadows by the third quarter, phantom pressure, jumpy feet. bad decisions. But with Shedeur, Saleh knows that pressure might play to his strength. Because what happens when you collapse the pocket, and instead of panicking, the quarterback gets better? That's what off-schedule really means. It's not just scrambling, it's extending the play without losing control. It's having the awareness and discipline to keep your eyes downfield while defenders are grabbing at your jersey. It's trusting your body to reset and trust your arm in the chaos. And here's the kicker. Shedeur makes it look casual. This is what separates good athletes from true quarterbacks. Plenty of guys can escape. Plenty can run, but very few remain calm in the fire, calm enough to not just survive the pressure, but turn it into an advantage. Think about that. When everything breaks down, Shedeur's odds of success increase. You can't coach that. You can't prep your defense for a quarterback who thrives outside of your schematic design. That's the nightmare scenario, because defenses aren't built to repeat broken plays. On paper, the coverage might be perfect zone shells locked in, pressure dialed up, and still get beat because Sanders just created something you didn't draw on the whiteboard. That's not a mistake. That's not luck. That's instinct. And again, this is happening in his second start. Saleh knows what's coming. He's watching a quarterback who isn't beginning with a safe, scripted, see-it-and-throw-it development curve. He's watching a guy already showing signs that he can adjust while the play is in motion, not just between series. That puts Shedeur on a completely different timeline than most rookies. Saleh even said, "You anticipate someone like him who's got that confidence, who has that skill set, he's just going to get better and better every week." That's a heavy statement. It's not just respect, it's an early arrival notice. Because most rookies don't get invited into the off-script chaos club until year 2 or 3. By then, the game slows down. They know the offense. They know the tendencies. Then, and only then, can they start reacting instinctively. Shedeur's doing it now, and the league is starting to notice. If you think Saleh's the only one whispering behind closed doors about number 4 inches Cleveland, think again. This is how it starts: a few improvised plays, a few throws that make you pause in the film room. Then, a respected DC like Saleh goes on record, and suddenly, everyone's reevaluating their scouting report. Because off-schedule quarterbacks don't just win games, they break defenses, take over highlight reels, and make Sunday film feel like Monday nightmares. And Robert Saleh has just thrown up a red flag. This rookie might already have that gene. If you really want to understand why Robert Saleh sounded genuinely concerned about Shedeur Sanders, you don't need to look at box scores. You don't need to pull up stats, fantasy points, or completion percentages. You just need to watch the tape. Because while the numbers were solid for a rookie debut, that's not what caught Saleh's attention. What did? The moments in between the numbers, the decisions on broken plays, the technique under fire, the throws that don't show up in highlight reels but stop defensive coordinators mid-scroll in the film room. Let's rewind to that Week 1 game against the Raiders, a defense that, while not elite, is still packed with NFL speed, aggression, and professionals trying to disrupt a rookie quarterback. From the opening snap, you could feel it. Shedeur wasn't playing scared. He stepped onto the field like he belonged, not 1 ounce of hesitation. And by his second or third series, he'd already started doing the one thing Robert Saleh explicitly warned about: making plays off script. Now, Saleh didn't mention random throws when he spoke to the media. He carefully picked moments to emphasize. And if you know what Saleh looks for on tape, you can piece together exactly which plays caught his eye. Play 1. The dead pocket escape. Midway through the second quarter, pressure collapses from both edges. Clean pocket? Gone. The Raiders dial up a disguised stunt, and the center doesn't pick it up. This isn't a moment where most rookies thrive, it's usually where they panic. But what does Shedeur do? He hesitates for half a second, resets his footing, steps up through the middle, and as the defensive end grasps at his hip, he fires a bullet downfield on the run 30-plus yards, hitting his receiver in stride. It wasn't reckless. It wasn't hopeful. It was deliberate, accurate, composed. And that's the difference. Saleh isn't reacting to panic plays gone right. He's reacting to structured execution inside unstructured chaos. Play 2. The extension and strike from the sideline. Early in the third quarter, designed rollout to the right. Play looks dead, the defense flows well, the reads are covered, and a smart move would have been to throw it away. Instead, Shedeur fakes the throw, keeps his hips square to the field, resets, and zips a sideline dart to the third progression receiver who broke off his route late. It was a 14-yard gain, but the result wasn't the story the awareness was. That's the type of play you expect from a fifth-year quarterback who's overdosed on film and knows where every outlet is, not a guy making his first start. And yes, that's what Saleh saw when he said, he made a couple of really good throws. He wasn't blowing smoke. He was throwing up a flare to the league. Because when you watch how Sanders stayed composed in these moments where protection broke, options closed, and pressure surged, he didn't flinch. He calculated. It's those throws that force defensive minds like Saleh to change how they prepare. Because normally, against a rookie, you'd say, send pressure. He'll fold. But if this kid reacts differently, if pressure makes him more dangerous now, you're not just playing chess, you're playing chess while dodging live bullets. It's not just arm talent, it's vision. One underrated detail from the Raiders game, Shedeur's ability to process defensive rotations. Several times, Vegas disguised coverages morphing between two high shells and one robber looks, trying to bait him into mistakes. But he didn't bite. He looked off safeties, adjusted protections, and routinely hit soft spots just outside the hash mark where coverage was late to rotate. That type of read and react skill isn't supposed to come from a rookie in real-time action, especially not one only 2 weeks into his NFL career. What Saleh likely saw and what no stat sheet could show was a QB who played through every snap with calm eyes. His footwork didn't dissolve when the first read disappeared. His processing didn't stall when a defense showed 2 looks pre- and post-snap. He stayed ahead of the rush by knowing where he wanted to go with the ball long before he took the snap. Coaches cannot teach that instinctively. That's something quarterbacks either have or they don't. And when Saleh later said, "You can tell how important it is to him and how much work he's going to put into it," that was another line loaded with meaning. Defenders respect effort, but what gives defensive coordinators cold sweats is a QB with elite traits combined with elite work ethic. That's how future top 10 quarterbacks are made. That's how guys go from promising to unstoppable. And if Shedeur continues to stack games like this where the effort matches the skill, it might not take long at all. Not a fluke, a foundation. That's the point Saleh was trying to get across, whether he knew it or not. This wasn't a rookie stringing together a couple of lucky plays in a vanilla scheme. This was a poised, prepared, dangerous young quarterback building a foundation. One who looked calm in chaos and poised when the moment said, shrink. And if he was that dialed in against a real NFL defense in his first start, what happens when his confidence grows? Saleh knows the answer to that question. That's why he said, with someone like him, he's only going to get better. Which, when you think about it, is the last thing a defense wants to hear heading into Sunday. And it's not just because of what Shedeur has already shown. It's because Robert Saleh believes this kid hasn't even hit second gear yet. By this point, it's clear Robert Saleh wasn't giving Shedeur Sanders a participation trophy. He was checking boxes. Whether Saleh realized it or not, what he said in that press conference mirrored what scouts, GMs, and offensive coordinators call the franchise quarterback checklist. And Shedeur didn't check 1 or 2 boxes. He hit all of them. Poise under pressure. This is the first and most crucial trait, and Saleh hinted at it over and over. When a defense is crashing the pocket, when blitzes are disguised, when a 250-pound edge rusher is breaking through the line unblocked, what does the quarterback do? Most rookies panic. They speed up the clock in their head, they drop their eyes, run the wrong direction, or throw the ball into traffic. But not Shedeur. Against the Raiders, and as Saleh acknowledged, he stayed calm, extended plays, and most importantly made smart decisions while under fire. That's elite quarterback DNA. That's Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Burrow stuff. And Saleh couldn't hide his reaction when he saw it on film. His off-schedule stuff is going to be a problem. That's not just a statement, it's a high-level defensive admission that Shedeur doesn't just avoid disaster, he thrives when things break down. Dos. Tremendous confidence. Confidence has been mentioned repeatedly, and that's not by accident. Saleh could have said Sanders was poised or competitive. But instead, he used a very specific phrase, tremendous confidence, and emphasized it. Here's why that matters. Confidence is the one thing you can't fake at quarterback. Body language alone can change how a defense plays you. A timid QB immediately changes a defensive coordinator's mindset. Send pressure, force mistakes. But a confident QB is different. Confident QBs hold the pocket one extra second to make the right throw. Don't flinch when their first two reads are covered. Don't panic after a sack, a fumble, or a big hit. And most of all, they keep coming. Confidence terrifies defenses because you can't scheme it away. And Saleh knows it. That's why he called it out. Because he's faced quarterbacks like Josh Allen QBs who believe every play can work, every throw is makeable, every drive is winnable, and now he's seeing that same attitude in a rookie. That's rare. That's dangerous. That's something only franchise QBs carry into the league. 3. Mastery at the line of scrimmage. This part was subtle and, for casual fans, easy to miss, but it might be the most important detail in this entire conversation. Saleh said, obviously showed good command of the huddle and at the line of scrimmage. Pause. Let that sink in, because this was the exact narrative that followed Shedeur into the draft process. He can't run a pro-style offense. He hasn't done full-field reads. He's too reliant on structure from Coach Prime's college scheme. Well, that myth is gone. Obliterated in 2 weeks. Saleh, a coach with no reason to exaggerate, just told the world that Sanders is reading defenses pre-snap, commanding the huddle like a vet, and throwing with timing and understanding. This is a major deal. Coaches typically protect rookies from heavy mental loads in year 1, but Shedeur, he's making protection calls, adjusting pre-snap, and consistently identifying soft spots in coverage. Saleh knows what he's seeing, and when he hears the quarterback is making checks on his own and responding to defensive disguises, he immediately knows this isn't just talent, it's control. 4. Work ethic. Here's where it all comes together. Saleh said it plainly. You can tell how important it is to him and how much work he's going to put into it. He didn't just describe a player with physical tools, he described a player obsessed with getting better, and that's the real key to unlocking greatness. You can have the arm, you can have the vision. If you don't commit to the grind film, footwork, chemistry, repetition, it all gets wasted. But Saleh sees the opposite in Shedeur. He sees a quarterback who isn't satisfied. And coaches love that. More importantly, defensive coordinators fear it. Because a bad rookie quarterback stays bad. But a good rookie quarterback who wants it? Who needs it? That player evolves. Fast. And when a guy has everything else you'd want in a franchise QB and also has an elite work ethic, that's when you get Russell Wilson. Early years. Burrow. Lawrence. Allen. Guys who made jumps quickly and became problems for the rest of the league. Shedeur Sanders has that energy. That second and third practice a day hunger. That room never leaves the film feel. And Saleh can sense it. 5. Natural leadership. Let's call this what it is. No rookie quarterback takes over a huddle immediately, not unless the guys in that huddle already believe in him. Saleh subtly backed this too. He commands respect. You can see it. Huddles don't lie. Defensive players can spot a fake leader in 5 seconds, but Shedeur has already earned command. It wasn't handed to him, he took it. Through attitude, through presence, through common pressure, through preparation. That's exactly what true leaders do. And for a rookie to already be operating that way, that's not normal. That's foundational. That's face of the franchise level stuff. Back to Saleh's hidden message. Robert Saleh didn't get up in front of the media to hand out participation ribbons. Coaches like him don't exaggerate talent, especially from opposing quarterbacks. So when he checked off confidence, mobility, off-schedule playmaking, command at the line, huddle presence, work ethic, he wasn't cheerleading. He wasn't being generous. He was doing what all great defensive minds do, telling the cold, honest football truth. And that truth is this. Shedeur Sanders might not be just a promising rookie. He might be everything you want in your next franchise quarterback. While Shedeur Sanders is out here treating every day like a job interview for greatness, grinding, studying, competing, not everyone on the Browns' offense is matching that energy. And you don't have to dig deep to find who we're talking about. It's wide receiver Jerry Jeudy. Now don't get it twisted, Jeudy is talented. Everyone knows that. He was a first-round pick for a reason. Speed, route running, explosive after the catch. He has all the tools to be a top receiver in this league. But with every season that passes, the same cloud seems to follow him. Lack of consistency, questionable effort, and body language that makes coaches nervous. And this week, Jeudy gave us just another reminder that talent isn't always enough. He was asked about what it's been like adapting to yet another quarterback change in his career. And instead of framing it as an opportunity, a fresh start, or excitement about Shedeur's early performance, Judy gave this: "I just keep being me. Ain't nothing I can control. I just keep running routes, get open, and do what I do. That's all I could do. I can't really control nothing else." Let that sit for a second. That's not exactly the tone of a veteran leader rallying behind a young quarterback. That sounds like a wide receiver who's detached, going through the motions, checking out before the real test even starts. And here's the problem. You can't have that mindset when your QB is making his second career NFL start. You can't afford to be going 80% in practice. You can't be shrugging off leadership, not when your quarterback is out here treating every snap like war prep. To put it plainly, Judy's energy doesn't match the moment, and fans noticed. Analysts noticed. You better believe the coaching staff noticed. The fumble that said everything. Now let's back up to week 1. There's a moment that perfectly captures this issue, and it happened right in the middle of one of Shedeur Sanders' cleanest sequences. The play? A dart over the middle, Shedeur hits Judy right in stride. Picture-perfect placement. First down, chain-moving throw. Except Judy catches it, takes a few steps, and gets stripped. Fumbles it away. Drive killer. Momentum killer. And an unforced, 100% avoidable mistake. This wasn't a rookie mistake. This wasn't a coverage disguise. This was a veteran receiver not protecting the football, delivering a gut punch in the middle of an otherwise flawless drive led by his rookie quarterback. That's not on Shedeur. That's on Judy. And yet, instead of owning it even subtly, he steps to the podium days later and basically says, "I just do me." You know what that isn't? Accountability. Because if you want to live in that WR1 space, if you want comparisons to the elite wideouts in the league, your Diggs, your Jeffersons, your Adams, your Tyreek Hill types, then you better move and speak like one. Right now, Judy's not even in the same stadium as those guys mentally. The contrasting mindsets. And here's what amplifies this whole thing. Shedeur Sanders is going all in. You hear it in his interviews. You see it in how he prepares. Offensive players have already set off record, and on that, the kid is deep in the playbook, staying late, studying coverages, building chemistry with his weapons, being vocal in meetings. This isn't a guy trying to ride the wave of some college hype. This is a quarterback obsessed with proving he belongs not just to the league, but to his teammates. So when that kind of mindset is standing in the huddle, and it's surrounded by pass catchers who aren't fully locked in, that creates a disconnect. And trust me, teammates feel that energy. The Shedeur-Jerry chemistry has to get better. Fast. Because if your wide receiver is going to be the release valve, the guy who Shedeur trusts on 3rd and long, or late-game situations when the scheme breaks, then Judy can't be jogging routes or coughing up the ball with loose fundamentals. There's zero room for that, especially against defenses like San Francisco, who will feast on any sign of weakness. Red flags in the locker room? Let's not turn this into a hit piece. Jerry Jeudy is a good receiver. He's had great games in the NFL. He's been misused in the past. He's had his share of chaos at quarterback and offensive coordinator. But at some point, your mentality has to rise above your circumstances. Because guess what? Shedeur is facing adversity too. New offense, NFL speed. No soft spots. The 49 airs on deck. And he's responding with leadership, work ethic, and composure. So when Judy, now multiple years into his career, is taking the "it is what it is" approach, that feels like a player who's stuck. And worse, it feels like a player wasting the opportunity that Shedeur is building, especially when the Browns need everyone at full throttle. What's next? This section isn't just about calling out Judy, it's about urgency. Because right now, the difference between a breakout offense and a mediocre one might come down to whether the supporting cast matches Shedeur's intensity. Saleh sees it too. That's why in his comments, he didn't just talk about Sanders. He mentioned Brown's weapons, the run game, the tight ends, even Judy by name. But what do you think his film room takeaway is? It's probably this. Shedeur Sanders is ready. The system is developing, but the pieces around him, still figuring it out. And if Cleveland's serious about building around a franchise QB, they need to decide fast which weapons are truly reliable and which ones are replaceable. This is it, the proving ground, the moment every NFL quarterback faces and the moment most rookies dread. Shedeur Sanders is stepping into a gunfight with one of the most well-armed, battle-tested defenses in the entire league. And leading the charge on the other sideline? A guy who's already up all night game planning how to expose him. Saleh. Let's not sugarcoat this. The San Francisco 49ers defense is a different animal than what Shedeur saw against the Raiders. Vegas brought speed and physicality but lacked disguise, depth, and discipline. The 49 ERs bring all three in bulk. You're not just up against talented playmakers. You're up against a machine. A machine built by one of the smartest defensive coaching trees in football, refined by years of deep playoff runs, elite personnel, and live-fire experience against the best quarterbacks in the world. And now, that machine is locking its sights on a kid making just his second NFL start. What makes the 49ers defense so dangerous? Let's talk personnel. You've got Nick Bosa, a one-man wrecking crew who eats offensive linemen for breakfast. Fred Warner, arguably the smartest and fastest inside linebacker in football. A physical secondary that drives downhill, jumps routes, and loves to punish young quarterbacks who stare down their targets. But that's just the beginning. What Robert Saleh helped install and what still defines this unit is pre-snap chaos and post-snap clarity. In other words, they confuse you early and punish you late. They show too high coverage, then rotate into man single. They bluff blitz, then zone drop 8. They walk safeties down, only to backpedal into cloud coverage. And if you hesitate for a half second, if your eyes lock on the wrong defender, or you make one false step in the pocket, boom. Sack, turnover, drive over. The 49ers aren't playing defense, they're playing psychological warfare. Now here's the wild part. Robert Saleh knows Shedeur is capable of handling it. That's what made his pregame comments so interesting. Instead of using the standard, "we just need to execute our game plan," Saleh pulled back the curtain. He's just going to get better and better every week. His off-schedule stuff is going to be a problem. You can tell it's important to him. These are not things Saleh typically says about rookie quarterbacks, especially ones his defense is about to hunt. He's acknowledging a truth no coach wants to admit publicly: this kid could hurt us. And you better believe that's going to impact how San Francisco schemes. The mental game, a different speed. Sunday's matchup isn't just about arm talent or mobility. It's about mental stamina. Against the 49ers, you don't win by being more athletic. You win by processing faster. And that's where Shedeur either breaks out or gets broken. The defensive looks he's about to face, many of them he's never seen before, not in college, and not even in early NFL tape. San Francisco will mix coverages after the snap, showing one thing and flipping into something else the second the ball is out. Even veteran quarterbacks walk into traps here. And rookies? Most don't walk out. This is where everything Shedeur has been praised for: poise, preparation, decision-making gets tested in real time. No more talk. This is the exam. Can he make elite-level reads at full speed? Can he adjust protections against disguised pressure? Can he trust his eyes when San Francisco shows him a mirage? Because if he holds his own against this defense, the entire league will take notice. What's at stake? This game is bigger than records, bigger than standings. It's about perception. Let's be real, beating the Raiders was a statement, but critics will say they're rebuilding. That game didn't prove much. Fine. Now comes the real test, a chance for Shedeur to prove he doesn't just belong. He can hang with the big dogs. If he performs well here, even in a close loss, that rookie tag starts to fade. That maybe he'll be good one day, conversation turns into, he's already better than half the league. And more importantly, his own locker room learned something too. Because leading the Browns against the 49 ERs takes more than clean stats. It takes resilience, grit, the ability to throw that third down dart late in the game when your jersey's torn and your ribs are bruised and still believe you're the best player on the field. That's what it takes. And that's the challenge Shedeur now faces. What the Browns must do to help. Let's not act like this is all on Shedeur. Because if the Browns want a chance in this game, the guys around him need to show up and show out. The offensive line needs to protect its young leader like their lives depend on it, because Sunday, it basically does. Receivers like Jerry Jeudy need to lock in. No dropped passes, no fumbles. No, I'm just doing me body language. This is a war. Show some urgency. The run game needs to do more than show up. It needs to dictate. Establishing the run keeps Bosa and that pass rush honest, gives Shedeur breathing room, and adds balance to prevent third and long nightmares. Because if the Browns execute, if the line holds for that one extra second, if the receivers get separation, if the OC gives Shedeur early rhythm throws and play action looks, this offense can move the ball on anyone. Even San Francisco. Momentum shifting moment? Make no mistake, this is a defining game. The stage is national, the stakes are real, and the kid under center has a chance to flip the narrative entirely. Because if Shedeur survives this, if he battles this defense, trades punches for 4 quarters, and comes out standing, the league will officially be on notice. This isn't hype, this isn't PR, this would be proof. Game film doesn't lie. And if Shedeur can produce against the likes of Bosa, Warner, and that coverage platoon, he won't just be a nice story out of Colorado. He'll be a full-blown quarterback problem with a ceiling no one's figured out yet. Let's take a step back. All week, everyone's been talking about what Robert Saleh said, the rare praise, the honesty, the low-key warning. But maybe the better question isn't what he said. It's why he said it. Because Robert Saleh has faced the NFL's elite. He's schemed against Mahomes, braced for Allen's arm, prepped for Lamar's legs. He knows the difference between flash and substance better than most. So when he stares down a microphone just days before his defense has to face a rookie, and he doesn't downplay, doesn't deflect, doesn't sugarcoat, you have to ask, what exactly did he see on that tape? What did he see in Shedeur Sanders that told him, this is different, this one's not like the others? We better be ready. What if Saleh is right? Because if he is, if this isn't just a hot start, but the birth of something real, then what we're watching is more than a fun storyline. We're watching the rise of the next great quarterback in the NFL. Rookie in name only. Shedeur's technically a rookie, but let's be honest, he doesn't move like one, doesn't speak like one, doesn't think like one. From his very first snap, he's oozed the 3 things rookie quarterbacks usually spend a full year trying to develop. Composure under fire, control at the line, confidence when nothing's working. And here's the wild part, he's doing it without a perfect supporting cast. No elite offensive line, no Pro Bowl receiver carrying him, no proven system tailor-made for instant success. He's thriving in adversity, just like Saleh said he would. And that might be the most important sign of all, because most quarterbacks are only as good as what's around them. But the real greats? They elevate everything around them. That's the vibe Shedeur is starting to give off, not a product of the system, a force from within, the respect that matters most. Look, NFL coaches inflate rookie hype every year. Fans do too. But players and coaches? The real ones? They don't dish out praise unless it's earned. That's what makes Saleh's words matter so much more. This isn't Shedeur's offensive coordinator saying he's special. It's not a radio host trying to stir buzz. It's not scouts with clickbait agendas during draft season. It's an opposing coach, one of the best defensive minds in football, going on record, unprompted, to say, he's got it. He's going to be better next week than he was last week. We've got a problem if we don't play disciplined. Let that sink in. Because football, at its core, is about respect. Who earns it, who keeps it. And when your opponents are the ones giving it to you, that's when you know something's changing. A turning point for Cleveland? For years, the narrative surrounding the Browns has been stuck in a loop. Rebuild, retool, reset, repeat. Quarterbacks have come and gone. Systems have cycled. Hope has risen, then crashed back to earth. And fans? They've waited. Patient, loyal, exhausted. Waiting for not just wins, but for identity. For conviction. For something or someone real. Now imagine if it's Shedeur. Imagine if he's the one who rewrites everything. Not through gimmicks or PR hype, but by showing up every Sunday and proving it, quarter by quarter, drive by drive, reading defenses, making plays off script, rallying teammates, owning the huddle, growing, fast. If Robert Saleh is right, if these early glimpses are just the tip of what's coming, then the Browns may not just have a good pick or a promising rookie. They may have finally found their quarterback, the one they can build around. The one who won't flinch in blizzards, or under pressure, or when the game enters the 4th quarter. The one who doesn't ask for belief, but demands it with performance. That doesn't happen by accident, and it doesn't happen often. Sunday is the battlefield. It all comes down to this. The 49ers, a top-tier defense, a legend-killing unit, a franchise hungry for wins, built to embarrass rookies, trained to frustrate your rhythm, break your confidence, and send you limping off the field with a stat line you can't show your agent. And waiting on the other side is Shedeur Sanders. No excuses, no soft matchups, no low-stakes practice reps. Just 60 minutes with 11 monsters in red and gold trying to ruin everything you're building. This game? It's his first true war. Not walk-through intensity, real fire. Not hype videos, Hits, tears, fatigue. This is where quarterbacks usually show who they really are. And if Shedeur shows out even if the numbers don't shine, if he battles, stays composed, and keeps the Browns in it, that's when the conversation changes. From, he has potential, to, we're watching the start of something serious. Legendary careers don't start with perfect stats. They start with moments like this. Moments when a rookie walks into enemy fire, refuses to back down, and shows the world that no moment is too big for him. That's what Shedeur Sanders is about to walk into. Or rise out of, because Robert Saleh already rang the bell. His film study sessions already told him the truth. This rookie can play. This rookie can scare us. This rookie might be for real. All that's left now is for Shedeur Sanders to prove him right. If you believe this kid is legit, hit that like button right now to push this to the people who aren't paying attention yet. Drop a comment below. Does Shedeur pass the test against the 49ers? Or does the rookie wall hit him? And don't forget to subscribe because this is just the beginning of coverage. We're tracking Shedeur's rise game by game, breakdown by breakdown. Every week. All season. No hype. Just football that matters. Now let the doubters talk. Because Sunday, the tape talks back.